All right, welcome back. We are, should say COMP1116 game. There we go. COMP1116 in the fall 2025 semester at Georgian, and it's week 5, part 1 of our broadcast and recording together. And this week we're doing, we're continuing with our FPS project, part 4. Which is creating a user interface and a win condition. And then just to look ahead, next week, we're supposed to be remote, but I'm going to be in person. Now, I found that last week when I was in person, you guys were all remote, except for like one person or 2 people. It's up to you. If you don't want me to come in, right, I'll work remotely too on the Thursday, right? Like, I mean, you got to let me know, guys. I know some people work better in person. But there was literally only 2 of you, like last week, right? So I travel an hour to get here, right, and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm here for you guys. If you're not going to be here, then I won't be here, right? So I'm gonna ask you guys are you guys planning to be here next week? You guys? If you're not, it's okay. Like I will totally stay home, okay. At least if there's at least a quorum, like 4 or 5 of you, kind of thing, I think I'm okay. If there's only 1 of you, then or 2. But next week what we're doing is it's the final week, and what I'm going to try and do next week is I'm going to give you more and more stuff for you to do, right? So on your own. It is the preview week. We're going to review some of the things we're going to be doing, because the week after it will be only in person. That's what it'll be. And you'll have a midterm test that is going to take you 3 hours to do, approximately 2 hours to be in, to work on it. You will have to record something in class as well, and then you're going to produce a recording, but the recording doesn't have to have any sound. So please make sure you know how to use OBS or some other recording software that's on your computer in front of you, because it's coming up. In 2 short weeks, we're doing that lecture, the midterm test, and it is worth 20% of your final grade, right? So if you miss it, or if you muff it, which is possible. I know that last time I did this midterm test, people had a lot of trouble because they didn't do a lot of stuff on their own. They followed along, and then they came to the midterm test and they're like, oh my God, I forgot how to do this. Can you help me, Tom? No, right? So. So there is none of that. So please make sure you practice and keep on doing your in-class exercises on your own, so that way you're a little bit more comfortable. This week, what we're doing is we're doing a lot. Okay, we're getting the modular building set, and we're building a city right from it very quickly. Actually, we're just modifying the city. We're adding a nav mesh like we've done before. We're adding drones. We're adding pickups, last week's homework. And then we're going to create a win condition. And this whole piece, which is pretty much half of this, is all you, right? So, and I made it all you for 2 reasons. One of them is I want to see how you're going to do. Hopefully we can do some of that in class today. And the other reason why I want to make it all you is, of course, to give you more practice doing it on your own, so you can ask questions if you don't understand something, like how I got this thing, as an example, or maybe there's another way of doing something that I did. So without further ado, then, I want to create the environment first. And what that means is, first, before we start, is just I've kind of made a copy of my in-class exercise 4 here. Again, if you're someone who doesn't have in-class exercise 4 done in any way, let's say you never started it, it's here to get you going. However, just to point things out, there is no pickups right now. We're going to add those just to make sure you all know how to do your homework from last week. So all I've done here is duplicate. I've kind of copied my project, duplicated a drone. Now, one thing that we talked about is the drone has to have a goal actor, and the goal actor right now is the same patrol point as this drone. Okay, so I'm going to make this drone start somewhere else. So we're going to make it so that this drone right here, I'm going to push this one out a little bit so it goes over here, closer to this goal actor, and then this one right here, this drone, I'm going to push this guy to the other corner, so they're going to be kind of a little closer. So I'm going to make this guy, his goal actor is going to be this patrol point right here. Okay, so I'm just going to use the little eyedropper tool, and we're just going to select that point and then test it. Let's see what happens. So we should see that drone go to that one, and that guy is going over there. And then as it gets closer, I'm pretty close, it's going to come and attack me. It should find me and then, boom, smash into me, which is going to cause damage. I should be able to also blast this guy away if I can hit him. There we go, but I've reduced my ammo. So that's the conditions I need to test my ammo pickup and my health pickup. I got 2 drones, at least minimum, and that's good. That is my in-class exercise 4 from last week with some modifications. I'm also going to bring up at this point my C++ project. So this is last week. I'm just going to bring up my FPS character by double-clicking it, and it's going to run my Visual Studio. And what I want to do here with Visual Studio is 2 things. Right? I want to retarget my remote. My remote right now is pointing to in-class exercise 4, and I want to create a new remote, a new repo, and I want to make my remote point to in-class exercise 5. Right? So this is the way we would do this. So again, I'm going to go to my developer PowerShell, and I'm just going to issue a get remote -v, which is going to show me in-class exercise 4. I'm going to remove it. Get remote remove origin, which is going to remove the remote. And once I've done those 2 commands, now I need a new repo. So I'm going to go up to DevOps here, and I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to call this in-class exercise 5 and remove the README file. I'd never want to use that. Click create. And now I've got an empty repository with these steering instructions right here. I'm going to copy them, go back down to DevOps, right click and press enter, and we should have a new remote, and we should have everything pointing, if we did everything correctly, if I did everything correctly, to my new repo. Now you can see right now we're at 1.2 gigabytes or so, something like that. And we're going to climb by another 700 to 800 megabytes today as we add the modular building set. Right? So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And we're getting there. It's validating, it's validating. Now this is where it can fail, and if it fails, it's perfectly fine. I know what to do, right? I know that I'm going to delete the .git folder and then create a new repository, and it's going to point to, thing, but it works. When I copy, it works. When I download and change, it doesn't. So if I go back up to DevOps now, you'll see that ICE 5 is there, and it's starting glory, right? So this is where it's going to be. All right, so this is good. So I'm in a good place to start. Now, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint slides, and it tells me to download the modular building set, which is this link right here. So if you just click this link, or you go to Blackboard, it's also there, then you're going to get a download that looks like this, modular building set.zip. I'm just going to unzip it here. So I'm going to go to show more options, go to 7-zip, and extract modular building set. You need to close down your editor. Okay, you need to close this editor down because it won't, kind of understand what this is until I do that. So I'm going to file, save all. Make sure you do that, then close the editor down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing that I've just, expanded, this one right here, modular building set. I'm going to cut it and go into my new project, which is ICE 5, and just inside the content area, I'm going to paste it. That's where it belongs, just inside the content area. Okay, it doesn't belong in assets. I put it in content, that's where it belongs. And once I've done this, then I'm going to relaunch my editor by pressing Control F5. This is another way of testing that my Visual Studio is working properly. Control F5, which should relaunch the editor from Visual Studio if I did everything properly. Okay? If not, I know what to do. I need to delete the 4 folders, binaries, the all the other folders that we mentioned before. We can look at them together while we do this. So I would delete, if I was going to come up to here, the derived data cache, the binaries, the intermediate and saved folders, and then right click on my U project and rebuild my Visual Studio project files with Visual Studio closed, and then double click on this to rebuild the project if I had to do that, but I don't. You can see that Unreal Engine is working just fine, and we're good. Now let's check out to see if we have those new that new modular building set. And you see I do. If I kind of go into materials, I have some materials. You can see that I've got all my stuff for the modular building set, and this is a good thing. I know it's always loud, eh? Same every single time. Yeah. Why at this time in the morning? Why 8 o'clock? Why couldn't he have done it later on? You know? Well, why even early? Not even earlier, or last night? You know? But anyways, who knows? But anyway, here we go. So this is, so we have to test this, make sure our project is working properly. We can see that it is. This is nice. And now I'm going to go to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to skip. So this basically tells me to basically set up my demo scene here. I want to skip this back down to the level where I'm going to be putting in my, it's about slide 25, where it says adding health and ammo, ICE 4 solved plus extras, okay? That's where I'm going to start. And the reason why is because I want to talk about what I said. So fixed enum e-pickup complaining. So this is one thing I talked about. You can try and do this, but remember that last week, and I'm just going to bring up my stuff from last week as well. Let's go back to that. So ICE 4, here it is. So last week what I said was for you to do, just going to go back down to here. Here's for you to do. I said in my Visual Studio project to do this. Okay, it's only 10 slides. We're going to get through this really quickly, but let's talk about it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to close down the editor. This is the first thing I need to do. So File, Save All, right? Close down the editor, and then from there, what I want to do is I want to go to, and I kind of did this last time with you, where I kind of went in here and I created this pickup type. Pickup type had all these lovely errors, right? And one way that I found that you might be able to solve these errors is if you bring in some stuff that's missing. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Core minimal is definitely something that you can try bringing in. So if I go to pickup type and kind of copy in core minimal, right, as an example, sometimes it makes it go away. The other thing that makes it go away is the pickup type generated.h. Sometimes that makes it go away. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so once I have that, compile and save all. That's what I was talking about in the slides. Sometimes it stops the complaining, and I mean sometimes, right? Then we can try and rebuild my project from here. So if I press Control F5, we can try doing that and see what happens. It may not do anything. Don't panic, because as long as we have the pickup type, as an example here, and it's working, like it's launching and stuff like that, we're good to go. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing I talked about was, let's go back to here. I talked about, we did all this, I talked about adding a new actor class called FPS Pickup. Let's do that next. So I'm going to go here, and inside of my tools, I'm going to go to new class, and it's going to be an actor class, and I'm going to call this FPS Pickup. All right, that's what I talked about, and click Create Class. All right, so that is what I was saying here in the PowerPoint from week 4. There it is. So it just says actor class C++ FPS Pickup, and then inside there, it's going to ask me eventually, so it's doing all this, let it do it, this live coding business. Let it do its thing. There we go. And then it's going to ask me a couple things. So this is one. And the other thing it's going to do is going to say, do you want to reload the project? Yes, I do. Right? So that's the first I want to do. So reload project. Sometimes that fixes also the pickup type. Look at that. Pickup type is now fixed. Aha. When it reloads. But it also did this, right? So I've got all this boilerplate stuff, and what I normally do with the boilerplate stuff is I remove it because I don't need the boilerplate comments from here, right? So that's what so if you already did this, by the way, be patient with me. I'm trying to catch everyone up, and so to also help people understand what I'm doing, so that way they're not, completely caught off guard when it comes to the new stuff that we're going to do today. That's why I'm doing all this, just to make sure that you guys are all up to speed and in the same kind of thing that we did last time. And again, it's recorded, so worst case, you can always watch the recording if you still don't have everything and stuff like that, right? So So that's what I did, FPS pickup, I did all that stuff. And I'm just following along with the PowerPoint. So rearrange, I did all that stuff. Forward declare, now it says pickup sound base. I need to forward declare this thing. And it says, I have, in the protected section, I need 3 things: pickup sound, a pickup amount, and a pickup type. Those 3 things. So let's do the pickup sound first. And so what it means is I need a U property, all right? So back into here, in the protected section, I need U property, right? The U property, there's a lot of different things. So it is edit anywhere, blueprint read write, and category pickup, which is what I'm going to do. Let me explain this U property business. U property is an annotation, my friends. You cannot have a property without it. You can't create a variable without it. It has to be declared before the variable. Some people are declaring it after the variable. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to come right on top of the variable, just like it does in Unity when you did a serialized field. Remember serialized fields in Unity? Same idea. This thing is like a macro that basically says anything that comes afterwards, which is this new thing. And what I'm doing is, if you notice, I'm declaring uSound base. Okay, uSound base. And I don't have uSound base included in here, and I'm not going to include it. I need to forward declare it, right? So forward declare declarations. And I want to do class uSound base, right? And why? Because anything that has a U in front of it is a class. Anything that has an F in front of it is a struct, okay? That's the first thing. So once I've declared that stuff, then down here I can say, you know, T object pointer of type uSound base, which I'm going to call pickup sound. This is the proper way of doing it, because T object pointer, I need a reference to the pickup sound. I don't need a pointer, like an actual asterisk in here. And so this is a managed pointer that I'm creating, and this is how we would do it. So U property. So that takes care of this, right? uSound base. Next, pickup amount. It's of type int32. Okay. So again, I'm going to copy this part because it's the exact same. This part up here, and I'm going to go down here and paste it in, and then I'm going to make it of type int32. People were confused, and they're like, wait, which this is this thing here is called pickup amount. Pickup amount. All right, and they're like, wait, why don't we do a pointer of this? Why don't we do a pointer of this? How come we're not making a pointer of pickup amount? Why do we do it for this one but not this one? Anybody? Because people are confused about this, and they're like, I don't understand, right? Remember, my friends, integer, int32, is a primitive type. Primitive types include integers, floats, booleans, and characters, and a bunch of other stuff like that, okay? This uSound base is a class. Here we need the T object pointer, but for int32 or integer, int16, whatever it's going to be, as well as boolean, floats, and a bunch of other stuff, we do not need a pointer, right? Because it's a primitive type. We're not getting a reference to it. We're getting a value from it, okay? That's one thing that's happening there. So that's why we don't need that. Next, which is the next thing I want to do, is a ePickup type. Again, ePickup type is my enum. It is not a class, right? So because it's not a class, I do not need a pointer, but I do need to include it. You cannot include anything after this line. After it says FPS pickup generated.h, I talked about this the first day or second day. If you include anything after this, it will error out your code. Okay, you cannot do it. You have to do it up here somewhere. So for example, if I wanted to do something like include, and I want to include the pickup type, there it is, .h. This is okay up here, but if you put it down here, bad, okay? It has to go above this line right here, above line 6, okay? In this case. All right, so now I can do the same thing. I copy this part, kind of go in there, and then put in ePickup type, all right? And let's see if that's right. Pickup type is correct. ePickup type is the type. So people are confused about this too. They're like, wait a minute, I don't understand, right? We have an ePickup type. Why do we call it ePickup type? That's confusing, Tom, right? It is the standard that I'm giving you. E stands for enum, right? F stands for struct. S stands for, or sorry, U stands for class. That's the way they do things. Also notice a FPS pickup because it's of type actor, all right? Because FPS pickup inherits from the actor superclass, it's going to have an A in front of it by default. That's how Unreal Engine codes everything. All right, so that you know what the base class is of your file. If this was inheriting from character, right, it would still be an A because character also inherits from actor. Actor is the superclass. Okay, just letting you know. All right, so going back to this, now we have this. This is good. We've done this part. And going to the next part, you do not need any functions on the C++ side. You do not need to modify the CPP. All we need to do is control F5. Let's see if this works. So let's save all, and we're going to close down the editor because we want to make sure that's done. And then control F5, and we should have our pickup type, FPS pickup done. And when we do, we're going to make a commit. Some people aren't making enough commits. I'm seeing people make like only one commit the entire project. That's inefficient and insufficient. All right? Because remember what commits are. They're snapshots. I like to see them as checkpoints in a game, right? Imagine you're going around and you don't like save your game. Guys, this is like save scum, okay, when it comes to your code, all right? If you don't do this, bad things will happen. It'll stop working suddenly, and you'll be like, oh my God, it's not working. Why isn't it working? Oh my God, can I go back? Oh no, I didn't make a commit, right? That's a bad thing. All right, so this is where we are here, and the next part is, if I follow the PowerPoint, it says, let's go to the next slide. When the editor opens, navigate to the Blueprints folder and create a new folder named Pickups. Okay, let's do that. So back to this. I'm going to go to the Blueprints folder, make a new a folder called Pickups. There we go. And what it's telling me to do here is make a new blueprint class of this new type we just made. So if I type in FPS pickup, there it is. This is the type. We can see that that is what's going to be made. We're going to call this BP underscore base pickup. Now, let me explain this for a second. Why did I call it base? There's a reason. There's a method to my madness. Yes. I don't know why, but I'll try and send it over your way again. Why base pickup? Because, and first of all, the fact that I can even do that and launch it and I see FPS pickup there tells me, my friends, that I'm a good person. All right? It tells me that I've done everything fine in C++, because then I see all this. This is another thing people asked. I had a meeting with another student yesterday, and they said, I don't understand what the category does. What does the category do, guys?
It labels it in the menu.
Yeah, it just gives me a nice filter over here on the right. Look, take a look, because you're going to miss this, and then you're going to say, wait, why do we do this? See where it says pickup here? That's this, pickup. Whatever I put here, it goes here. It kind of makes a little drawer or a collapsible area that basically allows me to filter. So if I was to go here and say pickup, then I can only see those three things. Okay, that's what it does. Do you need a category when you declare a U property? No, you do not. It'll just put it wherever it's going to put it. All right, it'll put it in the default area. So that's what this thing does. It does this. Yes.
You lost that screen.
Right. There we go. Right? So it does that. It does that pickup sound and pickup amount and stuff like this, okay? So that's the first thing. So that's what we've done, and that's what I'm just following along with the PowerPoint to get this done, right? So, okay, next. So I did this. It says add a collision sphere component named pickup sphere. Okay, I'm going to copy this name, and I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to add in here a collision sphere. So I'll type in collision. There it is, and I can add in a capsule. Oh, sorry, sphere. There we are. And I'll change that to collision sphere, pickup sphere. Now I also said that we should make this the root component. How do I do that? How do I make this the root component, my friends? Yes?
Drag and drop.
Drag and drop. Just drag and drop it on top of here. That becomes the root component now. Compile and save. Okay? So now that it's the root component, it says also add in a static mesh component called pickup mesh as a child of the pickup sphere. Okay, cool. So let's do that. So I'll add that in. I'll say static mesh. Here it is. And put that in there, and there we go. Okay, compile and save. I got those two things going on right now. Okay, and create a new function named play pickup sound. After I do all this, right, let's create a new function called play pickup sound. When called, it will use a play sound 2D node to play the pickup sound. Okay, so let's do that. Pickup sound, play pickup sound. And I'll make a new function. That's right there. Okay, and when called, it's going to call the pickup sound. Remember, how do I get access to the pickup sound itself? Because it's got to play the pickup sound. How do I get access to that? Well, a couple things here. You don't see the pickup sound here, even though I inherit from FPS pickup, right? So remember what I said? You can just type in get pickup sound. There it is. You can do that, and you can use the getter. However, here's a trick for you guys to remember that I didn't talk about last week. I'm telling you this week because this is new. On the left, you see this little gear icon right here, right? Take a look. If you click onto it, you can see show inherited variables. If I click onto that, you can see that these are all the inherited variables from pickup, which is right here. So you could just drag and drop this from here. So if I drag and drop it from here, control drag will give you the getter, right? I get a pickup sound. And then all I want to do is I want to play sound 2D. That's all I'm doing here. That's what this thing does. Doot. There we go, connected. Function done, right? Compile and save. Okay, I don't want to see those. I can undo those and I can, hide that stuff again. Wonderful. Okay, so that's the next one. So this is done. So I did all this page. Okay, I know I'm going through it really crazy, but a couple things I'm missing, right? I didn't do this. Collision sphere, component, pickup sphere, and set it to root component, set the sphere radius to 100, and collision presets to overlap all dynamic. I got to do that. So I didn't do that. So this is 100, right? And then I need to go to the collision presets down here, and overlap all dynamic is already set. Make sure that this is also clicked, compile and save, right? The pickup mesh also should be a child. Collision presets are also block all dynamic, right? So let's make sure that that's true. So it says block all dynamic. This is good. We're so far in good shape because we did all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so pickup sphere, block all dynamic. Now there's an issue with this, which I'm going to talk about in a second. If I block all dynamic from my my thing, what does it do? It allows you to have a physical collision. But in this case, I want it because you can collide with two things for your pickup. The sphere that goes around the pickup, or the pickup shape itself that's inside the sphere. Okay, that's why I'm doing it this way. All right, so that's the thing that I want to do. Next, I want to open my BPFPS character blueprint. Okay, so I'm going to go there. So I'm going to go and follow this around. BPS underscore character, there we go. And then it says add a function named add ammo. Okay, add ammo. So we're going to go function add ammo. We know this is something to do with combat, so we're just going to pick the combat category here so we can do the filter. And then it says that has an input parameter named ammo amount, okay, of type integer. So that means here I'm going to go to inputs and I'm going to put ammo amount of type integer. Okay, that's what it means. Compile and save. Next, it says the function will add ammo amount value to the attributes ammo property and then call the set HUD ammo function. It tells you all the nodes right there. So the function will call the attributes. Here's the attributes. And it says of the ammo amount, right? So ammo amounts. So get ammo, right? There it is. And we're going to add this in. So we're going to make a plus to the ammo amount, get ammo amount, right? And we're going to add those two things together, right? And then when I add those two things together, it's going to set the ammo amount to that thing once I, from my, whatever the attributes are, right, as an example, okay? So let's get back to this. It says, okay, function name ammo, input parameter name add ammo amount of the type integer. This function will add ammo amount value to the attributes ammo property, right? And then call the set HUD ammo function. Okay, so now I need to do this. So ammo amount, right? And that's this. That's the incoming ammo amount. And this one, I want to do the same thing. I want to add it. Adding it is not enough. I need to physically add it. So set ammo, all right, it needs to be done. Some people didn't do this step. They're like, I don't know why, but I can collide with it, but it doesn't add any ammo anymore. Well, this is the reason, right? You still need to set it, right? And this is the setter. And then after I've set, so again, here's the process. Get the ammo, the current ammo, that's what this is. Add the ammo amount that's incoming from the add ammo function. And then, so this is the current ammo on the gun that you're having right now. You add ammo to it, cool. That is holding a variable now, but you haven't actually added anything to anything. All you're doing is adding two things together. The output of this one has to go into the input of the set ammo in order for you to actually set the ammo up to anything. Well, that's how it works, okay? So once you've done that, now this is the thing that actually adds ammo, okay? And then finally we need to set HUD ammo, which is this. which is basically updates the HUD. That's what this does. Okay, that's the function done. Next, add health function. Same idea, right, with the add ammo function, where you're going to add health function, right? And again, I'm going to make this a combat function, and it has a health amount, I'm sure. Here it is. Exactly the same. That this is going to be here of type float, most likely. Here's my float, right? Of type, well, it says of type integer, but let's take a look at this for a second. And then health amount will add health amount to the attributes health. So if I go to attributes health again, so I pull in attributes, and I go get health. Get health. Health is a float, my friends, right? That's why I made it a float. That was a error. You could have made it an integer too. It just would have truncated it. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this plus from here and grab the health amount. Get health amount. There it is. And connect those two things up. There we go. Get health amounts. Wonderful. So now that I've added that up, now I got to set health amounts. So I'm going to grab that attributes thing and set health. There it is. Just like we did before. Connect those two things up and connect that up. And then what I want to do is I want to set HUD health. Set HUD health. I just want to make sure I didn't do the wrong one. No, that's right. Okay, good. All right, so that is that two done. All right, so that is this part right here. Okay. Now, one thing it says here that I didn't do, it says, however, the health element property cannot be greater than attributes max health. All right, well, that's easy to add. So if I do attributes and then get max health, here it is, the max health property. Then what I want to do before I do this addition, let's just separate this. Okay, so let's just move this right here because we don't want to go higher than health. That's what this is. I want to clamp float, right? And I want to clamp float this value, the value that I'm adding together. So I put that in here, and then from here, the minimum is 0, and the maximum, instead of being 1, is max health. Right, there we go. So we can make these nicer, move these over, oops, move these over like this, put these together, and then the output of the clamp float goes into the setting the health, because this is going to be a value that's clean between 0 and 100. That's what it's going to be, right? And then I can put these closer together. There we go. And now that's the proper function. Okay, I almost missed that. And then after setting the health property, you will call the set health. Okay, done. Okay. Open the base BP underscore base pickup blueprint again. Cool. All right, so we'll close this down. Make sure that these are all closed up. We don't need them all. Perform line trace and blah, 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 blah. Compile and save. And open up the base pickup blueprint again. Awesome. Okay, now it says create another function called add appropriate pickup amount. Okay, cool. And we're going to do that here. Add appropriate pickup amount. There we go. And add appropriate pickup amount, it says, has a parameter of character. Okay, so character is the new parameter. So this is the parameter that comes in, inputs, parameter, character. And the type is going to be of type BP underscore FPS character. Okay, so we're going to type that in. BP underscore FPS character, object reference, this one. Doop, it becomes a blue reference here. And then once we've done this, it says you will branch on, right? If the pickup type, when I say if the pickup type, right? And if the pickup type, I'm branching. There's two ways to do this. I can have two branches, two if statements, or instead of that, I can drag in a reference to the pickup type itself. Okay? So, all right, so pickup type. Remember this? If I go to show inherited variable and I go to pickup type, drag it in. Okay? Once I've got this pickup type, that's the reference from the thing itself. Then I can go here and do a switch. If I type in the word switch, watch guys, you're gonna miss it, switch, right? And then I do switch on e pickup type, I get this, right? And then I can determine that if I'm gonna do one thing, it's gonna be ammo. If it's ammo, do something. If it's health, do something else. And none means don't do anything, okay? So now I've got this, all right? Now it says, I wanna get call the character and add ammo. People were confused. Wait a minute, how do I get a reference to the character? It's right here. It's right here in the add appropriate pickup amount, right here. We haven't done this yet, but we're going to make a reference later on. So here, where it says character, we're going to say get character, this one. And then from there, we're going to say, okay, well, if it is, you can actually use one character to do this if you really want to be crazy like this, one character reference. And what you can do here is you can say add ammo. So I can say add ammo. There it is. Add ammo would be for ammo. Okay, there it is. So if it's an ammo type pickup, because I'm making this base pickup class, so it can be either one or the other, you can kind of do something that looks like this, where one thing can serve both, right? Like one character reference can serve both things. Or I can also do add health. Okay, so add, I can just drag from here again, take a look, add health, right? And now I can have both things. I know it's messy looking, but if you're careful, you can kind of do something that looks like this, right? Now you don't have to be so messy. You could have added two references of this. Doesn't matter to me, right? Just get character twice. And again, I'm getting character from here, from the input right now, okay? And that's what this does. So that is the this little function right here, okay? So add appropriate pickup. We're done. Next. Okay, a brief note about accessing inheriting variables. I said how you do it because I know some people don't know how to do it. And I talked about there's 3 variables you can get, and here are the ones, and you can see them right here. Next. Create an event on component begin overlap for the pickup sphere. Okay, cool. So I'll grab this on component begin overlap, and I'm going to go to the event graph to do that. I don't need this stuff inside of here. And you can click the pickup sphere. That's what I talked about before. And if I right click and go on component begin overlap, that is where I get this event. Okay, that just comes right off the pickup sphere. Now, beautiful thing. It says, if the other actor is not equal to the reference to self. So that means, so again, other actor branch, right? So I'm going to do a branch. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can just go up here and go branch like this. And then if other actor is not equal, so other actor is not equal to, right? You can do, so that's other actor not equal to get self, right? And if you did, so this one, if this is not equal to, then branch. That's what I'm saying. Okay, we've kind of shown this before. What this is basically ensuring that the sphere is not colliding with itself. It's not colliding with the object itself, the pickup object mesh, right? Because the sphere can collide with anything, even the pickup object itself. That's why I'm doing this. I'm saying, don't make sure it's not this. Okay, if it's not this, then it says, then cast the actor as a BP underscore FPS character. All right, so that means take the actor, this other actor, right? So again, I have to drag this, right? And cast to BP underscore FPS character. That's what I have to do. Okay, now let's make some nice lines like this. We can also make a function out of this whole thing if I really want to, collapse to a function, which we'll talk about today. All right, so I'll do that. Go here, make this a little nicer maybe, and that's what it looks like. So I try and cast to a BP underscore FPS character. That's what this does. So when I collide, when I overlap with something else, is it the character is what I'm asking. If it passes, you'll use this pin. Okay, if it fails, this pin will trigger. Okay, this is cast failed. So, okay, cool. And then it says, call the play pickup sound function. Okay, play pickup sound function, there it is. So it's gonna make that noise, doop, right, or whatever it's gonna be. And then it says add appropriate pickup amount. Connecting the FPS character or FPS character reference, call the destroy function. Okay, so that means that do this, and then pass in a reference to the character from here to here. That's what this means. Okay? And once I've done that, destroy the character. So destroy the actor. There we go. Okay? And that, my friends, is all you need, for the most part, for your base pickup. Okay? Because now we're going to create 2 other pickups. One thing I did in the new PowerPoint, if I go to the new PowerPoint here, right? So we did all this. I added in a default mesh. So let's do that in the new thing. So in the pickup mesh, I can add in a default mesh. So I'm going to kind of add in a cylinder. There it is, cylinder. And then the cylinder, if I kind of click away and click back, you can see that it has a basic mesh. I want to make it like some kind of steel ball, like metal, steel, something like this, maybe burnished, not this one. And then if I go compile and save and go to viewport, you can see that it looks like this. All right, so this is the base mesh of all pickups. Pickups will always look like this unless you change what they look like. That's what this does, okay? Compile and save. So now when I go back here, you'll see that in the pickups folder, I get this. All right, let's add this to DevOps. So down in here, I'm going to file, save all. Right, go down to here, and we're going to say something like git add dot. Git commit -m when it lets me. And we'll say added BP underscore base pickup. Okay, there we go, git push. I also added the modular building set. I could have done a commit there. Okay, but you can see now it's adding in like, I don't know, 300 megabytes so far. Okay, wonderful. Now that I've got the base pickup, what I want to do is I want to duplicate it, and I want to make child classes. The way you make child classes is you right click on the base pickup, and it's going to say, you know, add child class, or, you know, create child blueprint class. See this, right? And I can call this BP underscore, you know, health. I think it's called health pickup. Let me see what I made it. Not that one. That one. I called it health pickup. All right, so let's change that so it says the right things. Health pickup. Just going to rename it here. There it is, health pickup, and I'll do another one. So I'll make a child blueprint of that one, BP underscore ammo pickup. There we go, ammo pickup, but they all look the same because they are the same right now. And what it tells you is, this one, what it tells you is, once we've done the health pickup and ammo pickup, let's set the pickup type to health. Okay, so people got confused about what I'm talking about here. Okay, so if I open up the health pickup, if I open it up, on the right, the health amount is right here, and the pickup type. You have to set this. If you don't set the type, it will never work. You must do this. People forgot to do this. Health, all right? And then it says the pickup amount to 25. So I'm picking up 25 health at a time. That's what this means. And the pickup sound is SW pickup health. So let's do that. So I'll type in SW, right? Pickup health. There's only 2 of them. I've set it up for you like that. Compile and save. And then I also said something like, make sure you pick up this for the mesh, SM underscore pickup health. So the mesh has to change to SM underscore pickup health, this one, right? And then it changes, but now that I've changed this, it doesn't look right? Look at that. So it's going to be health, this one is what I want to use, right? That was more appropriate. Compile and save. Yay, okay. So that is the pickup. Now let's do the ammo pickup. Ammo pickup is type ammo. So again, I'm going to go close this off, go to the ammo pickup, this one, and I'm going to choose this one. It's going to be ammo, and then the ammo amount that I want to pick up is set to 20. That's what I said, 20. And then the thing that I want to make it look like is, sound like is SW ammo sound wave. So SW ammo equip. There we go, compile and save, and then go to pickup mesh, and then I want to type in something like ammo, right? Ammo mesh, right? And just like before, ammo mesh is pretty small. It actually tells you the size. I didn't do this yet. I'm going to go back. But we also want to set up the ammo. So if I type in ammo material, that's the one I want. But I want to change the scale because the scale is pretty low. Let's change it to 10. That's what I said to do. 10. 10, then 10. There we go. So it looks like ammo. That's what it looks like right now. Okay, pretty normal. Little bullets. And I also want to, I forgot to do that on the health one. So let's go back to this one. And I want to open the full one and go to the pickup mesh and change this to what it says 1.25. So it's a little bit bigger than what it was. So basically a 25% bigger. 1.25 and 1.25. There we go. So that's the ammo happened like that. And now I'm up to here, okay? And then it says, hey, test it, add 1 each. This should be good enough. Let's see if it is. So, okay, so I'm gonna go here and come up here. I already know that I have a guy over there and a guy over there, maybe in the middle somewhere. I can put in, you know, because I've got my, my dude right there. There's my player entry. maybe in front of the player, like right here is a good place. So I'll put the ammo here, and put the health there, and I'll raise them up a little bit. Like some people put them into the ground. Raise them up a little bit so you can see them. Same thing with this one, right? And let's see what happens. So play. So again, I'm gonna try and fire at this one. Dead, right? And then I have some ammo to pick up. Let's see if it works. Uh-oh, it didn't work. What happened? What do I do? How come it didn't work? My ammo still stayed at 40, but it made the sound, right? Okay, cool. And probably this isn't gonna work either. What could be the thing? So if I get killed, I get the thing, but if I pick up this thing, right, it doesn't work, right? I heard the sound, the people got stuck here, right? So what could it be? What could it be, my friends? What could be the thing, the reason why it's not working? So if we're going to test this, right, and this is where people ran into it, that's why I'm doing it the exact same way. A little bit of work for you guys is what it takes, right? So let's think about what's happening here. It did detect me, all right? We made the sound, which means part of it worked, but part of it didn't. Part of it didn't, right? So which part didn't work? The adding part, right? And the update, well, maybe it added, but it didn't update the thing. So let's check those two things out. Did it actually add to my, my ammo situation? Well, one way to check this is if I go back to the attributes, right? My attributes are here, right? This is the character attributes, right? And I can see health and max health here. Is it visible in the character itself? So if I actually go to the character, can I see attributes? Can I see this, And here it is. Here's my core attributes. And if I look through here, I just took some damage. That's fine. I can look through here. I'm going to get damaged twice. You can see that my health is 75. If I get hit again, right? I'm going to get hit again in a second, right? Because where I am, right? And if I get hit again, it should go down to 50. And you can see that that drops. So my health is actually taking damage. Okay, now let's see what happens if I actually cross over and I go over the health. Do I get it? So the answer is no. I didn't go up. So it's not actually adding health. So the add health function is broken somehow, right? And that is where. Where is my add health function, right? So that's what the next thing I have to look at. So is it here? As an example, if that's on our BP_FPS character, if I look at functions, here's add health, right? Oh, here's my health amount that I'm getting, right? And health amount is the thing that's adding the health in. Okay, well, where is this health amount coming from? I'm doing the health amount, I'm adding health amount to this, right? But what did I forget to do? Add appropriate health amount or whatever it's called, right? So if I go back to the drone, the base pickup, right? Here's the add appropriate health amount or add appropriate pickup amount, right? Well, here's the pickup. Look, here's the ammo amount and health amount. They're both empty. Oh man. What do I need to do here? Pickup amount, right? This part right here, it's got to go on these things. So get pickup amount, that's going to go to here, right? It's going to be converted, right? Here's pickup amount. And pickup amount is also got to be up here. So, I mean, it begs the thing that maybe I need to separate these for a second, just for clarity, just to make it so that it's even super clear how this works, right? Because Q got stuck on this one. They're like, wait, how come it's not working? Well, you didn't tell it to do anything, right? So if you're not telling it to do anything, here it is right here, it's not going to do it, right? There it is. So now I've added the pickup amount to this stuff, right? And the reason why we need a conversion is because I didn't follow the instructions, and I made this a float and not an integer. It doesn't matter. It's gonna convert it right here. Okay, let's try it now. So blah 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 blah. Oh wait. It says blueprint is not. Oh yeah, I didn't put this in. Copy paste. Let's need another version of this. I'm separating them so you can see them for clarity only. All right. There we go. Compile and save. All right, let's try it out again. So blah, blah, blah. And now if I fire my gun, blew up, right? And if I go pick up my health, my amount goes up by 20, right? And if I get hit by this drone, which I will, then, and if I go pick up this health spot right here, it heals. All right, so that was last week's homework. Okay? And I recorded it for you so that you guys have that. You need to, I wanted you guys to see how it's solved, right? Let's add something to it. So I've done this from last week. Now this week what I said was, after we did all this stuff, I kind of showed you everything. I didn't even look at it, notice. I just went through it and I did it. It even shows you how to do everything here, right? Step by step, and all that kind of stuff. And one thing that I want to add in is I want to make these things bob up and down, and I want them to rotate, just like you see in some pickups that you see in some games, okay? So how do I do this? This is new. This is not new. This is the extras part, and we'll take a short break after this, right? So what I want to do here is I want to add a timeline. Okay, now I'm not sure if you guys have done timelines with Steve yet. Let's do it together, all right? So I want to go to the base pickup, right? And I'm just going to close these two things. This is not new stuff now, okay? And it says, in the event begin play, add the following nodes. All right, so I'm going to go to I don't have an event begin play. Let's add one. Event begin play. There we go, okay? I'm going to zoom in here so you can see. There it is. So there's event begin play. The next thing that I want to do here, so I'm going to lower this down here so I don't need this right now, is I want to add a timeline. So I'm going to just drag across the execution pin and type in timeline. Okay, on the bottom, way at the bottom here, you see there's an add timeline thing right here. It adds this node here, this add timeline stuff. So what it needs is a name. I'm going to call this pickup rotation. So if you missed it, you click onto it on the right, you can rename it pickup rotation. Pickup rotation. Right? And a timeline is like super awesome. Okay, this is the best way to do it. Don't do things like change the rotation by adding like ticks or something like that, like you might have done in Unity. Right? In Unity, what you would have probably done is, on the update function, you want to change the rotation every frame. Screw that. This is way better than that. Okay, let me show you the timeline. So if you double click on this node, double click the node, right? It'll give you a whole new graph that looks like this. Okay. Here's the graph. So again, all I did was here, I double click this, it opened up the graph for the node. I want to add a new track, all right? And I'm going to add a float track, okay, a float track. The float track, which if you scroll in down here inside the PowerPoint, the float track is going to be called rotation Z, okay, rotation Z. So that's this float track right here, rotation Z, okay? This, whatever you call this thing, is the thing that's going to be exposed out of the node. We'll see it in a second. Okay, I want to add two keys, is what they're called, right? One at 0, 0. So you right-click and you add key, right? Right-click and add key. And then at the top here where it says time, make it 0, 0. All right, so that's the time that it's going to start off. So at time 0, you have value 0. Remember, this is a rotation. So I'm rotating it 360 degrees. From time 0 to time however many seconds, it's going to rotate 360. Okay, that's what it's going to do. All right, I need another node. So the other node is 5 seconds, 360. So every 5 seconds or so, add a key. And I'm going to say this one here, this new key is 5 seconds and 360 degrees. Okay? Now I can't see the nodes, but what you can do is look at these two little things here. There's one that says zoom to fit horizontal and zoom to fit vertical. And now you can see both the nodes, one node here and one node up there. Really kind of cool, right? I also want this to loop. At the top here, there's a little loop button. It looks like a looping thing up here, way up here. This one, click that, okay? This will make this thing loop, so it'll keep on, rotating. It'll change the number every 5 seconds. It'll change the number. The output from this node will go from 0 to 360 every 5 seconds, all right? Okay, this is it. So now that I have that, right? Then if I go back to, if I go click this closed and go back to the event graph, look, I have a rotation Z. Isn't that awesome? So this rotation Z is the output from this node, okay? And what I want to do is I want to set actor rotation. So I'm going to say set actor rotation, right? And I want to split the struct pin here. So split the struct pin. And I only want to rotate across the Z-axis because what I'm doing is, think about this corkscrew that I'm doing. I'm coming from the top, and I'm rotating across the top of the thing this way, right? Like a corkscrew, right? So I'm going to kind of take the rotation Z and connect it to this, right? And that makes my object rotate. Let's try this out and see what happens, right? So this is for all nodes. You can see now that they're rotating. Take a look. Because I did it in the base pickup, and because both children are inheriting from the base pickup, right, then you can see that both of them are now rotating. Okay, really nicely too. All right, great. So here's the extras. I want to do the same thing, but I want to do pickup bounce. All right, so let's go over here. So again, I want to add a timeline. So back into the base pickup, right? I want to continue to add a new timeline. So timeline, here it is. And this timeline is going to be called pickup bounce. Woohoo, right? Really interesting timeline name. All right, there's pickup bounce. And then what I want to do is double click on the timeline, add a float track. I'm going to add in 3 keys this time, okay? So again, the keys are 00, 2.575, and 50. Let me explain this for a second. So 00, add a key. So again, I'm going to go here and go 0, 0. Let's change the name of the track. I didn't do that. The track name is location Z now. It's going to go up and down across locations. So you can click that and click again. Rename, there we go, to location Z. And then I want to add in another key, and this new key is going to be 2.575. So 2.5 seconds, I'm going to go 75 units up. That's what that's going to be. Again, I can expand this way and that way to see it. There it is. There's the 2 nodes, right? And then I'm going to add another key, let's say over here, another key. And then this key is going to be 5 and 0. So 5, at 5 seconds, it's going to go back to 0. Okay. And then if I can go like this, you can see that I should be able to see both things. I'll zoom out so you can see both. There it is. Look, this is what you should have, a pyramid. So here's what happens. At 0, it starts at 0, right? And then what happens is in over 2.5 seconds, it goes up 75 units, right? And then from 2.5 more seconds, it goes back down to 0. So it goes like this, bobs up and down, like this, whoop, whoop, right? And then so what we're going to do, compile and save, right, is out of this node, you're going to add set actor location. So again, we're going to set actor location. There it is. And we're going to split the struct pin again, right? We only care about the Z, and that's what it's going to look, kind of rotate. We're not going to change the X and Y. The X and Y position are going to stay the same. We're just going to change that. All right, good. So let's try this out and see if it works. And then we should have some adjustments to make. Okay, this is pretty low. Look at how it goes. It kind of goes up to 0, and then it goes down. And also notice something else, that it's 0, 0, and it kind of stays there for a while, and it doesn't go back up. What? What happened? How come it did that to me, right? Well, there's a couple things that I missed, right? So notice that get actor location is something that I did here, and I didn't do it here. But here, I need to get the actual location, and I'm passing it through. So I'm not going to change my X and Y values. I only care about changing my Z value. So what I need to go is back to the base pickup and separate this. And I want to get actor location, right? And just like I split the struct pin on that one, I want to split the struct pin on this one, right? There we go. There we go. And I care about just passing through the X and Y location so that it doesn't change location, it just changes the location of the Z value. There we go. Compile and save. And let's run it again one more time. And you can see that now they're separated, but they stop. And they stop because I forgot inside of the base pickup, inside of pickup bounce, to make it looping. You got to click this loop button right here, right? So compile and save. And go back to this and press play, and now you can see it's going to go forever. But it goes on the ground, and I don't really like that. So how can I adjust this? Right, it goes down to 0, and then it goes up to 75. You could change the numbers. So you could go inside of this thing and change the numbers if you really want to. Or you could go into the base pickup, right, and inside of the pickup mesh, where in the viewport you see it like right here, you could raise it up a little bit. So you can say something like, maybe it's going to be up here. Okay. And if you did that, compile and save, and you went back to this and press play, maybe that's going to be good enough. Let's see. Not bad, right? I just raised it up a little bit, so it kind of bounces up and down. And now you can see them bouncing, and they're a little bit more interesting than what they were before. Okay? Last week's homework with extras. All right? All for you, my friends, my lovely friends who are here today with me. You should have this. And this is the beginning of in-class exercise 5. I'm going to stop recording now. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll build a city, right? And then we'll go from there. And I'll also make a push to DevOps. Git add dots. So what did I do last time? I said something like added pickups. Did I add base pickups? I think I might have said add base pickups, something like that. And yes, I did. So the next one I'll do is added BP underscore ammo pickup and BP underscore health pickup. There we go. All right, we'll come back in about 10 minutes.